It doesn't make sense from Kirk Cousins' standpoint. It doesn't make sense from the quarterback you just took, Michael Penix Jr. standpoint. And it doesn't make sense from the Falcons' standpoint either. And let me explain. This is, in my humble opinion, one of the worst picks in NFL draft history. 17, the Vikings, they get Dallas Turner. I don't know if some of y'all noticed, but when he was coming out of the green room, he looked pissed. And I know why he was pissed. Because he lost millions, and I mean millions and millions of dollars. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the third annual. I wanted to say fourth, but I'm about 85% sure. We've only been doing this for 3 years now, where we talk about everything that happened in the first round the following morning after, which is currently right now. You'll see this video in the afternoon, and we recap it. This is always one of the most anticipated videos on the channel every single year. You guys love it, and to tell you the truth, it's one of my favorite videos to make all year long as well. Take a look at this tweet I got last night. This was at 9:11 p.m. to be exact, my time. Draft recap video has to be tonight. Buddy, when you sent me this tweet, I remembered. I saw the notification. I'm pretty sure we was at pick either 17 or 18. Bro was saying, hey, Matt, we need to recap video tonight. Meanwhile, the draft wasn't even over, and by the time it ended, it was like 11 p.m. Central Time. That's crazy. I had to share that with y'all. But anyways, let's lock in. Let's get out of business. It's safe to say we got a lot to talk about. No intro, none of that. I don't got time to waste. You don't got time to waste either. If you like football content, videos like this, consider subscribing, joining our amazing football community. And if you don't want to, that's cool too. We're going to get straight into it. All in all, if I had to give you one word for last night's draft to describe it, it was weird. We had not one, not two, not three, not four, not even five, but six, count them, 6 quarterbacks taken, not just in the first round, but within the first 12 picks of the NFL draft. 2 of those are somewhat questionable. One was really questionable, and you know which one I'm talking about. We're going to get to him in just a second. The other thing that stood out to me when I was watching this, I was on my couch. I was also cooking some food in between the picks and whatnot. As I remember looking up, it was at either pick 9 or 10, around that range, and I was like, wait a minute. We haven't had a defensive player selected. I get it, we didn't have a Will Anderson Jr. or some elite pass rusher like we've seen in the recent years, but you still had some solid defensive guys like Dallas Turner and Byron Murphy. So we had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks, but not only that, in the first 14 picks, it was all offensive players. What about that? Not something you see every day, and you will never, I'm just going to say right now, you're never going to see that happen ever again in the NFL draft. And it won't even come close to happening. Off the top of my head, without looking it up, I believe there was only 9 defensive players drafted out of the 32 in the first round. We may come back to that later in this video. For those of you that you're new here and you don't know how we like to do things here after the draft, we're going to start with pick number 1 and work our way down all the way to 32. Obviously, didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out. The Bears, they're taking Caleb Williams. If you want me to sit up here and talk about him and that selection for 10 minutes, you got the wrong video. I'm not going to do so because it's not interesting. Saw it coming. Caleb Williams is one of the best quarterback prospects I've ever personally witnessed and seen, and that's all I'm going to say about him. Second pick, not a shock either. Washington, there was some question marks there, but they go with Jaden Daniels. I think it's a good pick. Oh yeah, by the way, was y'all watching the draft live? Right before it, I can't remember who it was, but there was some analyst sitting up there talking about how he would take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. What? What are we talking about, buddy? Get out of here. When I heard him saying all that, because I was cooking when I was listening to it on my TV, I literally turned my back. I was like, what? Who is this guy? Saying you would take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams, I get it. I have some controversial takes on this channel, but that's not even controversial. That's just being dumb. Maybe he's just saying that for clicks and views, trying to hype it up. I have no idea. I hope he didn't actually believe that. Going down here, number 3 with the Patriots. I was somewhat shocked about this, not the selection, but I thought the Patriots, they were going to try to trade down in the draft, maybe potentially with the Giants. It didn't happen, though. They go with the quarterback out of North Carolina, and he goes by the name of Drake May. Me, personally, I'm not extraordinarily high on Drake May. However, I'm not low on him either. I'm even keel. Therefore, I don't mind the pick whatsoever. Moving down here to number 4, we had the Arizona Cardinals take Marvin Harrison Jr., best wide receiver in the nation. We saw that coming as well. Going down here to number 6, and by the way, I'm not going to talk about every single pick. I'm going to talk about the interesting ones to me. The Giants taking Malik Neighbors at 6. Yes, Malik Neighbors, he's fantastic. Nothing against him. But they need a freaking quarterback, man. You're still going to ride out with Daniel Jones? That guy's just not simply good at the game. And I know what some of you may be sitting here saying, well, Matt, if you don't like Daniel Jones, who would you have taken there? Let's say I keep my pick if I'm the Giants. It doesn't matter who you would have took. Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy, or heck, even it doesn't matter. It could have been anybody. It's time to move on from Daniel Jones. Regardless, they get Malik Neighbors. I guess New York's going to have another average season with Daniel Jones having his ups and also having many downs. Good luck with that. The Titans, they get J.C. Latham. That's a good pick because you need to protect Will Levis. The Titans' offensive line last year, they sucked. He's an absolute beast. I'm pretty familiar with him because I'm an Alabama guy myself. On the field, he's going to give you everything he's got. Off the field, no problems whatsoever. After pick number 7, though, this is where things really, they really got interesting. And a lot of people, they don't know how to feel about this one. The Atlanta Falcons shocked the entire world when they announced they're picking no other than Michael Penix Jr. When I saw this live last night, I was like, that's interesting. But why does it seem off to me? And then it hit me. I was like, oh yeah. Didn't they just sign Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract? And let me make this clear before I go on a complete rant and tangent that I feel like I might go on here. What I'm about to say next has nothing to do with Michael Penix Jr. himself. It has everything to do with the Falcons. I think Penix Jr. is a really good quarterback. Personally, I don't think he was a first-round caliber quarterback. I had him late first round, early second round type of guy. But if you want to take a gamble and go after a quarterback, I get it. We see that in the NFL draft all the time. Quarterbacks, they always go higher than what most people think they're actually going to go. However, you just signed Kirk Cousins. He hasn't even played a down for you. You're dishing out $100 million guaranteed to him. And to go on top of that, by selecting a quarterback here, you're neglecting other positions. Everybody and their mama thought the Falcons, they're getting Dallas Turner. I thought it, the analysts thought it, the mock draft people thought it, and Dallas Turner thought it as well. And heck, I believe Kirk Cousins thought it because news came out that Kirk Cousins, he was shocked by this pick. He didn't see it coming. To go on top of that, this video got leaked out where apparently and allegedly the GM was trying to explain the pick to the owner, Arthur Black. I don't know if that video is true, but I definitely think it could be because imagine you just paid somebody, and that's what the owner did here, $180 million. $180 million for a quarterback, and then the GM goes out there and takes another quarterback. What? What are we doing? I tried to rationalize this. I was like, maybe if I sleep on this and wake up early the following morning, which is currently now is when I'm speaking, I'll somehow feel better about this, but I don't. It doesn't make sense from Kirk Cousins' standpoint. It doesn't make sense from the quarterback he just took, Michael Penix Jr. standpoint. And it doesn't make sense from the Falcons' standpoint either, and let me explain. When you pay a guy $180 million, that's great, but you still want him to feel like it's his team and he's the guy. You don't want him looking over his back. I said looking over his back. That's not the same. What is it? Oh, yeah, looking over his shoulder. There we go, but you get what I'm trying to say. Let me dumb this down and put this into a better perspective here so people like me and you can relate. This is the equivalent to you getting a new girlfriend, and you're dating for a couple of weeks, but you notice she's liking other guys' pictures on Instagram, and she's following other dudes. Yeah, she's not cheating, but if you're dating me, why are you liking other guys' pictures? Why are you following new guys on Instagram? I think that's the best example I can give you, and that is exactly how Kirk Cousins camp, everybody in it, they feel. Hey, I thought we were dating. I thought you gave me $180 million. Why are you taking a quarterback with the 8th overall pick? The one way I tried to rationalize this was years ago. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? When Green Bay, they had Aaron Rodgers, and they needed wide receivers, remember? But they took a quarterback in the first round in Jordan Love. Everybody and their mama, they ridiculed Green Bay for it. They laughed at him. They clowned him. And look who got the last laugh. Jordan Love, he's a really good quarterback now. That worked out for Green Bay. But then I thought about it some more. I was like, well, you can't even compare it to this situation because Green Bay took Jordan Love later in the first round. The Falcons took Penix Jr. in the top 10. Also, to go on top of that, Michael Penix Jr. isn't some young guy like Love was. He's pushing 25. He's 24 currently. Essentially speaking, if Penix Jr. follows in the same process or footsteps as Jordan Love, by the time he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Falcons, if everything goes according to plan here, he's going to be either 29 or 30. He'll already be dang near out of the league. It doesn't matter how you chop this baby up. This is, in my humble opinion, one of the worst picks in NFL draft history. Just due to everything we talked about combined into one, it's got to be one of the worst picks. It doesn't make any sense. The only way you could try to rationalize this is if you play the what-if game and state, well, what if Kirk Cousins gets hurt again? But I don't even think that's a fair argument because Kirk Cousins isn't hurt. Going back to the Jordan Love comparison, another thing you got to throw in there is Green Bay, they weren't sucking when they took Jordan Love. The problem with Atlanta is they need a win right now. They've been sucking for years. And instead of improving your defense, instead of taking Dallas Turner, you selected a quarterback that's not even going to play, bearing an injury, for the next 2 or 3 years minimum. And the funniest part about all this was, and it had me shaking my head, is when the draft ended, I heard the Falcons talking about it, and they stated, well, we're preparing for the future. Buddy, you need a win now. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I don't know if anybody has relayed that information to you, but I'm going to do it in this video. You need to win now. It's the same thing when broke people, they don't have a job, and you ask them about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to start looking in a couple of weeks. Buddy, you need a job now. You are broke. I could spend the next, no lie, 25 minutes of this video just talking about that pick alone, but we got to get a move on. Moving down here, the Bears. They get Caleb Williams a weapon, and they get no other than Rome Odunze, and I loved him last year for Washington. Dude's really good. 10, the Minnesota Vikings. They get J.J. McCarthy, so now you had the dynamic duo of J.J. to J.J. J.J. McCarthy to Justin Jefferson. With McCarthy, as far as it goes as a NFL prospect, I'm even kill on him. I think I'm actually higher than most, but for myself, I'm going to say I'm even kill. The one knock on him is I've heard a lot of people use the comparison of Alabama quarterback. Won all the time, didn't have to play from behind, handed the ball off a lot, and didn't have to make a lot of big-time throws. However, as most of you know, I watch college football nonstop, 24/7. I watch a lot of film. I'd have to disagree with that because a lot of times J.J. McCarthy, when he had to make plays for Michigan, he did. Anytime they were in a close game, especially against Alabama, I'm going to remind some of y'all, they were trailing against Alabama and needed a touchdown just to get to overtime, and McCarthy is the one who led them on that touchdown drive. McCarthy can make the throws. I think he has a stronger arm than what people give him credit for, and when it comes to the mid-range and 5-10 yard passing game, he's up there with the best. I do believe he's going to struggle early on because the NFL, it's a passing game. The NFL and the difference is they're going to ask McCarthy to go out there and win every single game week in and week out, whereas at Michigan, he didn't have to do that. I like the pick, though, and the main reason for that is because coming out of high school, I've always liked McCarthy. I think he's extremely talented. Our last quarterback was taken at number 12. Crazy that we had 6 taken in the first 12 picks, and that was no other than Bo Nix, former Auburn and Oregon quarterback. He went to the Broncos. This one is somewhat head-scratching to me, and I get it. I know what everybody's going to say. Well, Matt, the Broncos, they needed a quarterback, and you're right. Yes, they did. But just because you need a quarterback, it doesn't mean you have to take one. I don't like this pick. I've never been high on Bo Nix. I don't think he was an outstanding college quarterback, and I also don't think he's going to fare out well in the NFL. He's not great at reading defenses. Sure, he dominated at Oregon, but I'm going to remind some of y'all, there's a reason he transferred out of Auburn. He couldn't do good in the SEC. That's why he left. And one thing that stuck out to me is Bo Nix, he shies away from competition, and he also doesn't like the pressure of it. He stated in an interview, I can't remember exactly when it was, that people in Auburn, surrounding the Auburn football program, the fans, they're crazy because football to them, it's everything. It's life to him. It's life or death. And he was talking about how he didn't like that, whereas at Oregon, he can kind of sit back and relax because football is not everything. And that somewhat did rub me the wrong way because I think that's a loser mentality. Because sports, especially in the Southeast, it's not just a game. It's a lifestyle. And I got some bad news for old Bo Nix here. If you thought people are crazy about football in Auburn, Alabama, they're even crazier in the NFL. You thought there was pressure in Auburn, Alabama to succeed? Welcome to Denver, Colorado. I just don't take Bo Nix too serious, man. That's all there is to it. At best, I think his potential is a good backup and maybe, just a maybe, a bridge quarterback. That's best case scenario, though. He'll never be a starter in the NFL. It's just not going to happen. He may start games for the Broncos or somewhere else, but I mean a legit full-time starter. Another reason I don't like the pick is because Zach Wilson, he's also with the Broncos. They just got him. Well, to me, right now, if I had to pick Zach Wilson or Bo Nix, I'm taking Zach Wilson. And it's most certainly not because I think Zach Wilson is really good. As a matter of fact, I don't think he's that good. But I think him and Bo Nix, they're 1A, 1B. And if I already have Zach Wilson, why would I waste the 12th overall pick on a quarterback? There's plenty of other positions I could have filled in. And Bo Nix is probably the luckiest guy in this NFL draft, because if he didn't get taken at number 12, he would have fell out of the first round because no other team would have drafted him. The Raiders, they get Brock Bowers at 13. I love me some Brock Bowers, man. That dude's a beast. Going on down here, I could sit up here and talk about Brock Bowers, but y'all know how I feel about him. Y'all know he's a really good player, and I think that's a good pick. Seattle, they get Byron Murphy, and this one, I'm only going to talk about it briefly because of what I saw during the NFL draft. 17, the Vikings, they get Dallas Turner. I don't know if some of y'all noticed, but when he was coming out of the green room, he looked pissed. And I know why he was pissed. Because he lost millions, and I mean millions and millions of dollars. He thought he was going to be taken at number 8 by the Falcons. To his disappointment, he was not, and he fell to 17, which ultimately cost him a couple $1 million. And I ain't going to hold y'all. If I lost a couple $1 million, I'd be pissed off too. I don't think your casuals are going to understand, though, the difference financially from the 8th overall pick and the 17th overall pick. There's a big difference. One pick that I really liked at 19 was the Rams. They got the Seminole edge rusher Jared Verse, and that guy was a monster last year. When it's all said and done, I think Jared Verse could potentially be better than Dallas Turner. His motor, it's relentless. At 24, the Lions get yet again another Alabama player in the first round. This just seems like a annual thing at this point. Jamison Williams a couple years ago. Last year, Jahmyr Gibbs. This year, Terrion Arnold. And I can't remember, was Brian Branch, I know they selected him, was that in the first round as well? The Lions can't get enough of them Bama boys, but hey, can't be too mad at them because it's worked out. Terrion Arnold's a really good pick, and low-key, he kind of fell further than what most people thought. Because I believe, let me pull it up here, yeah, he was the 11th best overall player heading into this draft. So getting him at 24, that's a steal. At 28, this one was interesting. The Chiefs got a guy who doesn't need any more help. Mahomes, more help. Xavier Worthy, the fastest player in NFL draft combine history, at least according to his 40-yard dash. What's interesting about this pick is yesterday morning, I talked to a scout who does all this stuff, pre-draft analysis for the combine and stuff like that. And the one guy he brought up to me in this conversation, we were just talking casually, was no other than Xavier Worthy. And he told me the receiver he's worried about the most is Worthy because his routes aren't too polished. He's not great off of the ball. He also has a problem with drops occasionally because remember at Texas, he did drop a couple of passes. The only reason people and scouts were high on him heading into the draft is because of his speed. That's it. Outside of the 40-yard dash, if you can overlook that, and I know it's hard too because speed kills. We see it with Tyreek Hill. There are some legitimate concerns with him. With that being said, I firmly believe with Worthy, there is tremendous upside just due to the speed alone. If he can fix the drops a little bit, polish up the routes even more, you're talking about a guy potentially that could be the next Tyreek Hill. And ironically enough, he has a similar build. I tell you what, though, if there's anybody that can fix Xavier Worthy and capitalize off his speed, it's going to be Andy Reid in that Chiefs offense. That's going to be a guy to pay attention to. Arguably one of my favorite picks of this draft, and I think it's the best bang for your buck, was number 30, the Baltimore Ravens getting Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson. Why I love Nate Wiggins as a prospect is he's 6'1", but he's extremely lanky and extremely athletic. That is a recipe for success if you're a cornerback in the NFL. That man right there, he's going to give people fits. Watch out for Nate Wiggins. At 31, the 49ers, they take the wide receiver out of Florida. Really like him. And 32, last but not least, you got Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Also, wide receiver. With Legette, you're getting a super, and I mean a super great guy off the field. He's a humble guy. If you haven't heard him talk, you got to listen to him. He's really country. But also on the field, he's kind of got that, dare I say, DK Metcalf build. 6'1", 220 pounds, give or take, and he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. He's got a rare combination of size and speed. It's going to be really fascinating to see how the Panthers use him because, well, there's no easy way to say this. The Panthers suck. I am pleased to see that at least they're trying to get Bryce Young some weapons and talent, but, man, they need everything. They need wide receivers, running backs, offensive linemen, everything. That's going to wrap up our first round, though. A lot of interesting stuff happened, but also a lot of weird stuff happened. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But, Roman.